censorship is a worthless tool that's only good for people who are too stupid to not know how to ignore things they don't like. Unfortunately, that sentence actually gives censorship a heavy dose of power and utility, because roughly 25% of the population is absolutely stupid beyond belief. 25% of the population are children. Here's a message to all the parents who watch my channel with their kids, and I know you're out there because I have met some of you in person at conventions and in the wild and whatnot. Your kid is way smarter than you think they are in the ways of the streets. By the time I hit 5th grade, I knew every swear word and slur in the book, knew the proper way to intake and ingest a list of illegal narcotics, and knew that sex wasn't just for some mommies and daddies who love each other, that rather sometimes it's a business exchange between one woman and 2 to 4 men. It's a cold, hard truth that kids will always find a way to learn things they shouldn't. A truth that's only getting harder and harder to stop thanks to the now growing up in a free information, internet addicted culture we live in. Children's media tries its absolute damnedest to try to shelter them from the world at large. But go ahead and try to monitor your kids' internet access. They can and will find a way to get around each and every trick to block things you have in the book. After all, you absolutely can restrict access on their computer and phone, but you sure as shit can't do anything about their friends' computers and phones. But an internet portal in my pocket at all times wasn't a luxury that I had growing up. I wasn't able to see what was removed from my view line as a child, because the modern concept of leaks just wasn't a thing. The olden day Wild West internet certainly had banned and obscure content on it, but finding it was a whole different story. Now today is the day we change things. Today I want to pull you back into my time machine as you join me, a disgustingly old man who grew up in the 90s, as he uses the World Wide Web to finally fulfill my dream that I had as a child, to see what the fuck I was missing out on the whole time. In this video, I'm going to watch 3 banned cartoons from series that I watched growing up. These are episodes that I never got to see as a kid because they were banned. Pay attention. But now I have tracked down copies of them from wherever the hell they've been leaked from over the internet, and I'm here to answer one very important question about them. Did they do the right thing? Did these cartoons cross the line? Is it a good thing that they were removed from the airwaves? Did they feature subject matter that is too mature for kids? Or was there censorship and overreaction and a miscalculation? I don't know. I haven't watched them yet. I'm recording this segment before I watch them, duh. What the fuck? Where am I? Oh, man, that's right. I instantly fell asleep because of this Manta sleep mask. As soon as I put it on, I drifted straight off to slumberland because of how insanely comfortable it is. Well, now that I've been jostled back to the world of the living thanks to one of my nightmares, probably the one where I'm a human placenta, I want to talk about what makes Manta Sleep so good at lulling you to sleep. Manta Sleep is so successful because they are pro-nap. The world these days is obsessed with productivity, getting things done, and always being on the go. Take it from me, a very successful and handsome man, I nap about 5 days a week, and I've never been doing better. This right here is the Manta Sleep Mask Pro, which comes with 2 razor-thin Bluetooth speakers right in the sides to go over your ears to help you put on your workout jams to help you kick the Sandman's ass too. Here's an example of some of the lovely tunes I've been using to put myself into dream world. If you just want a regular sleep mask, they've got tons of varieties to fit your needs and budget, including some wacky ones that are designed to cool down your eyes or heat them up as you sleep as you see fit. I know that heating and cooling your face is a tactile spectrum that a lot of people like to explore, and Manta Sleep is here to help you figure out what's gonna go on with your face all night long. Open your eyes to the world of better sleep so you can protect them with a mask that's gonna help you sleep by checking out the link link in the description. And don't forget to use code Huggbees to get 10% off of your order with Manta Sleep. That's code Huggbees for 10% off of that link in the description. Manta Sleep, the sleep mask that's so good at blocking out light, I've been guessing where the camera is this entire time. First up, we have rude removal from Dexter's laboratory. If your life sucks so much that you missed out on the glorious animation renaissance of the 90s, let me fill you in. Dexter's Lab was a show about a boy genius tinkering around in his secret home laboratory while his carefree, whimsically ignorant sister would constantly butt in and get in the way of his experiments. Hijinks abound. Fantastic show. Rude removal was an episode that never aired on TV because, according to series creator Gennady Tartakovsky, standards didn't like it, meaning the bigwig censorship executives had to butt in the way of a good idea yet again. And speaking of butts, this title card goes deep in the crack of one. Showing a comical cartoon butt was, and still kinda is, a common thing in kids' cartoons. Here's another picture of Dexter's ass from a different episode of the show now. And still advertised big dog of Cartoon Network Adventure Time gets away with this pretty frequently. Okay, that's enough. Don't leave that on the screen. That'd be kind of weird. I don't think the title card is something they'd really have a problem with in context of the whole episode, but there are two immediate things about it I can see leading to them wanting to pull the plug. First off, a middle finger is a far more overtly offensive gesture than anything else in American culture. Mooning someone has been a goofy, lighthearted, comical pastime for literal millennia. You can go back to like ancient civilizations and the period of Christ and find people showing each other their butts just to rib them a little bit. But the middle finger, as far as I know, has always been the signature move of visually telling someone to fuck off, and it's kind of funny how the logic that you'd expect in real life is different from the logic of culture and cartoons. If someone flips me off in person, I get the intent, but who cares? It's a random nobody. I don't care what they do. I'm not affected by it. But if a random stranger pulled their butt out at me, that's most likely something I don't want to see, knowing the average shower routine of the American public. The episode begins like every other. Dexter tinkers away on something that will probably save humanity by ending world hunger or curing cancer, and Dee Dee comes in to completely bungle up Dexter's work for the sole reason of she's a stupid bitch. But Dee Dee's chaos ends when Dexter explains through mathematical proof that his entire life will be better if his sister changed completely, which is a snipe so cold-blooded, it's only rivaled by the 360 no-scope I received from that 14-year-old in Modern Warfare 2.
Removal system. Okay, listen. To simplify this, DD minus root equals Happy Dexter.
Unsurprisingly, a fight breaks out between the two, and through some Dragon Ball Z style dipshittery, they both get locked inside the rude removal machine while it turns on. Oh no! But that's convoluted enough to act as a plot device.
Rude removal procedure completed.
Bravo, Dexter! Your rude removal system is a smashing success. Quite. Like I said before, it takes the rudeness of a person, removes it, and then contains it. Where the are we? Beats the out of me!
Okay, so far there's a lot to like about this episode. The fact that nice Dexter and Dee Dee have posh British accents and the rude versions have obvious inner city inflections is a simple but effective joke. And who doesn't love good old-fashioned swearing? I've always said that the first words we should be teaching our kids is swear words so they know how to offend any dreadfully polite kidnappers into being too aghast to steal them off into the night. Drop the censorship bleeps, Cartoon Network, and help save some lives. After a barrage of more bleeped profanities, Dexter's mom calls the kids in for lunch. The rude clones are eager to take advantage of a free meal, while the nice ones hope the food will calm down their adversaries' rambunctious vocabulary.
Hey kids, have a seat. I'll be right with you. I hope you're hungry because I've made a very special lunch that I got from a recipe that I found in a Betsy Crocker magazine.
Bitch, you made them mashed potatoes for lunch. That's it. That is a big bowl of mashed potatoes. If I sat at the dinner table and was fed this as a 10-year-old, I too would learn how to say the phrase "fuck this" overnight.
Well, what do you think, Dexter?
I think it tastes like
Okay, so this is pretty aggressive and also hilarious. It's one thing to make the crux of your episode, we're playing with implied swearing now, and we'll cover that topic in a bit, but to really double down on the rudeness by having them spit food in his mom's face while saying her food blatantly tastes like shit is just absolutely mean and totally epic. If I was a typical family man at the table with my trad wife and my son Huggbees Jr., and he spit a dull lunch of mashed potatoes in her face while saying that her food tasted like shit, I really couldn't help but give him the keys to my car because he's obviously the man of the house now. The lunch of miscellaneous spuds somehow doesn't go as planned, and while Dexter's mom is unconscious, the kids raid the kitchen for candies and sweets because everyone knows people who use slurs are the highest consumers of Hershey Co. products by volume nationally.
Hey, where's the candy? Hey, watch where you're throwing that!
God damn, they just had to throw that second beep in there, didn't they? Watch where you're fucking throwing that seems in line with the general exclamation, but to tack on at the end what I assume is the word bitch is just a power move. The scriptwriters went beyond convincing me that these are the rude Dee Dee and Dexter doppelgangers now. I'm pretty well convinced they're actually the Dee Dee and Dexter that were destined to star in the next Quentin Tarantino film. All that's missing is some classic racial slurs, but the episode's not over yet, so I can get my hopes up. Let's watch! A food fight breaks out, which showcases Dexter's family is in the top 1% based on their income because of their plethorically stuffed kitchen. Either that or the family owns and operates a restaurant from their home because one of the food items is a drink complete with plastic cup, straw, and lid. And now, it's Mom's turn to get fucking pissed. She tells the devilish offspring to go to their rooms forever because they're grounded for infinity.
Look, lady, that's cute and all, but let me tell you something. I make my own rules. So why don't you do what all good mothers are supposed to do and clean it up yourself? So long, Toots.
I spent way too long looking this up, but from my own personal knowledge and what little specifics I found online, isn't the term toots one of affection? Now, it's a very out-of-date term now, but wasn't it originally meant to mean a woman that you found cute or attractive? And if that's the case, I now understand entirely why this episode was banned, because the writers were writing lines that only the fan artists would ever dare cross. The rude and nice siblings pass each other, and the rude ones announce they're off to fuck up Dexter's lab.
Yeah, we're gonna go up your lab.
I'm not making jokes, I'm quoting the script. Anywho, the nice pair are confronted by Dexter's mom, which leads to the obvious conclusion that Mom's going to force them to clean up the mess in the kitchen while she raids Dad's closet for his finest ass-whooping belt. But the house begins to quake as the rude twins fucking about in the lab ramps up, prompting nice Dee Dee and Dexter into abandoning their cleaning punishment to stop the rude doppelgangers.
We should come to their aid, wouldn't you say?
Why, yes, but what of the cleaning, dear brother?
I got it! And it's a pip of an idea, too. We'll leave a note. Ah, yes. Come, dear sister.
Dexter, my lad, my man, leave Dee Dee out of this discussion real quick because her brain soup is all broth and no noodle, if you know what I mean. Dexter, you are a boy genius with a secret world-changing technological marvel lab hidden in your room. Do you really think, for even half a microsecond, that a note saying, "We'll be right back, we gotta stop our evil counterparts," is gonna do any job of convincing your Krakatoa Fury mother of anything? She's on her way right now to Big Bill's bastard beating emporium to find the most durable sandal that she can smack your ass with, and your idea is to convince her to give you some time by leaving a note with made-up bullshit that any 6-year-old would come up with. I know that machine sucked the rudeness out of your brain, Dexter, but did it suck the common sense out too? What sort of silly straw did your cerebellum pass through while you had your cerebrum slurped? After stealing a nearby SNES Super Scope, evil Dee Dee and Dexter fuck up the lab, staying true to their potty mouth word.
Excuse me, sir and madam, but you must stop this senseless destruction now. Please.
Something we're going to notice in contrast to the next two cartoons we're going to look at is that this is a fully fledged, entirely thought out episode. The no bad part that got the episode banned actually fits like any other episode from Dexter's Laboratory. The fact Dexter and Dee Dee are swearing has a setup that perfectly falls in line with any other plot from the show, and the plot is birthed forth from an idea that has in-character set-up punchline jokes that don't focus too hard on the edginess beyond what it needs for the script's necessity. I'm really upset Child Me didn't get to see this one, because it's both a solid episode of Dexter's Lab and something that would have made swearing fun the same way that Newgrounds.com did when I was in elementary school. The nice ones trick the mean ones into getting into the rude removal pod via reverse psychology, and everything goes back to normal.
Phew, glad that's over. Not thanks to you.
Me? I'm not the one who built the stupid thing.
But I built it to remove your rudeness.
I'm not rude, you are.
Dexter is 100% right here. Dee Dee showed up to mess with him and break his stuff, and all Dexter did was build a last resort version of some noise-canceling headphones. If I had my way, Dexter would be given 14 different scholarships, and Dee Dee would be learning how to make a prison pad thai at Gitterum's prison in Rwanda.
It is you who is rude, you big...
Now to clean those filthy mouths.
Oh...
That's a good one. That's a great punctual ending that wraps everything up. Definitely a solid episode, and one I wouldn't really blink at being included in the regular season rotation. And that leads me to my verdict. In hindsight, did this cartoon really deserve to be ripped off of the airwaves forever? Absolutely not. And I can fully cement my argument with a single clip from another pretty popular cartoon that you may have heard of and you probably knew I was going to bring up.
Hello, customers. Nice day we're having, huh? Hey, Patrick, how the are ya?
Pretty good, SpongeBob.
Why is this okay, but Dexter's rude removal isn't? Sailor Mouth is the episode of SpongeBob where the gang learns how to swear thanks to graffiti on a dumpster. In plot essence, rude removal and Sailor Mouth are the exact same premise for a cartoon. Rude removal would have come out in 1998, only 3 years before Sailor Mouth from SpongeBob SquarePants. So I really don't think it was a problem with culture or standards and guidelines at the time. Now, before I get into this rant, I want to remind everyone that I'm a tough man who eats nothing but sculptures of naked Greek gods for breakfast. I don't at all think rude removal should have been blocked from broadcast. But I rewatched all of Sailor Mouth from SpongeBob before finishing the script, and I do think that the problem comes down to one thing: intent. In Sailor Mouth, we get a wrap-up joke at the end that the swear words are sound effects themselves, as Old Man Jenkins' Jalopy has a horn that makes a noise identical to the curse word Mrs. Krabs uses when she stubs her foot.
Yow! My foot!
Mother!
What? It's Old Man Jenkins and his jalopy.
It is implied profanity, but in a way that's impossible to confuse for real-world profanity and pushes the vulgarity of it to the background as far as possible. Meanwhile, when you say fuck off or we're going to fuck up your lab, it's pretty dang clear that you intend to be demeaning even when you have to guess what words are hidden behind the censorship bleeps. It's also really not that hard to figure out what they're trying to say when that's the same sort of censorship used in actual shows using actual swear words. My guess is the censors didn't like the tone the episode had, and when combined with a title card that literally depicts quite possibly the only purely insulting hand gesture in the American world that I can think of, their decision does make sense. In short, SpongeBob's episode on adult language is naive, playful, and educational to a degree. Dexter's episode with adult language uses it in a truthfully unnecessary way that only piles on the aggression with two characters that are already written to be literal stereotypes of rudeness, with its only caveat being that the other characters react harshly and aghast to the profanity flung at them. The whole episode just feels a bit too much. But that is simply my devil's advocate argument. Don't ever, I will fucking kill you. Don't ever say that I am against profanity or offended by anything. Ever. I do not think the episode should have been pulled at all, especially since as a whole, it does fit in with the rest of the show. It's not like, oh, that's the episode where they tried to get away with swearing. No, it feels like a regular Dexter's Lab episode. You have to remember that this era of animation on Cartoon Network was full of gross outs and really trying to slink in the dark, edgy, mature tones. There's a whole video that I did on the Lunatics trying to be a more mature, adulty, dark version of the Looney Tunes. I'll put that in the description. This is the same time period, roughly. Gennady Tartakovsky, creator, made a name for himself by slowly and meticulously trudging down the slow path of allowing brutal violence to consume his shows. Let me show you in order the shows that he worked on for Cartoon Network. Dexter's Laboratory. Powerpuff Girls.
Buttercup! Bubbles!
Samurai Jack. Star Wars Clone Wars.
Shoot him down! Shoot him down!
Symbionic Titan. And finally, Primal. Rude removal is not out of his wheelhouse. If anything, it's one of his speed machines. Tone down the title card a little bit, and I think this is absolutely a-okay for broadcast. If I saw this as a kid, I wouldn't have even for a second guessed something was out of line, and would have felt the same way that I did when I saw the premiere of SpongeBob SquarePants' Sailor Mount episode. Ha ha, funny cartoon makes swearing funny. Rude removal was a long-lost forgotten episode for quite a while, and the fun of it was when one of those lost episode mysteries that the internet likes to spread around turned out to be true. It played at animation festivals from 1998 all the way until 2013, when the segment was finally aired on Adult Swim and uploaded to YouTube by their official channel, thus granting all of our childhood wishes to see Dexter say the fuck word. If you ever want further proof that pulling this episode was an overreaction, check out what aired on Cartoon Network about 10 years later.
No, don't.
It's too late.
Come on, dude, don't.
It's already in motion.
Well, put it out of motion!
You pissed me off.
There, I rest my case. Except in later showings of that episode, it was often censored to, "You ticked me off." God damn it, kids can't have fun these days anymore, can they? Okay, next up is One Beer from Tiny Toon Adventures. Now, out of the 3 cartoons I'm tackling here today, this one's still pretty heavily copyrighted, so I'm going to do my best to actually show it to you. That Lunatics review I mentioned earlier had a ton of issues with this shit too. Who knew Warner Brothers was overly protective of their properties? But I'm gonna slice and dice what I can. I'm also bending the rules a bit because from what I could research, this cartoon cartoon was only banned on Fox Kids, the network that originally produced and aired it. On later runnings on networks like Nickelodeon and the DVD release of Tiny Toon Adventures, you can watch it. It's just there. But the segment we're going to talk about only aired once in its original run before it was scrapped for a very long time, and that's good enough for me. Tiny Toons was a spin-off of Looney Tunes that acted as a bridge to gap the classic characters to a new generation of kids. It was a pretty stellar cartoon sitcom, honestly. More importantly, it was mandated to follow the stupidity dogma of the late 80s and early 90s by making a few episodes dedicated to teaching kids at home life lessons. One Beer was the final segment that was part of the larger episode Elephant Issues, which was a soft PSA episode mandated by the network higher-ups. None of the crew working on Tiny Toons really wanted to make it, but they were forced to discuss real-world issues plaguing the youth of the era. I think Go-Go Dodo's introduction to the entire episode really summarizes the gist of it all.
Today we take a Tiny Toon look at burning issues in a fruitless attempt to win another Emmy.
Good enough, let's watch it! The title card features a particularly dirty-looking bottle that's apparently ribbed for my pleasure on the brink of drowning the text in a glug of toxic green slosh. Since I'm an adult with the superpower of gaining depression without having to drink something for it, this doesn't exactly come off as something to try except out of curiosity. But kids love eating up dumb shit. They consume stuff like dirt, plastic, bad video games, and their parents' future aspirations like it's nothing. Strike one for you already, One Beer. You're not doing much to keep the kids away from the sauce. Buster, Plucky, and Hampton are all hanging around when Buster suggests they get something to drink. And that something is an open bottle of beer hanging out in the fridge, not next to the other bottle of beer that's in there for some reason.
What'll it be, boys? Juice? Milk? Soda? Or a cold one?
Oh, I've seen those eyes before. Those are Uncle Frank is about to make Aunt Linda sleep at our house for a few days eyes. Those are, do you really think my child's field trip money is more important than my weekly brewski eyes? Those are, let's make some bruises that'll last longer than the time it takes for me to sober up eyes. 1 point for turning children away from alcohol, and I hope you're keeping score, because I'm not.
But Buster, this isn't like you. I know. But in this episode, we're showing the evils of alcohol.
Spielberg cartoons were often self-referential, and I have to give them props for throwing this line in. They know what you're about to witness is probably ass and made from a board-mandated script, but they're gonna try their hardest to let you know you just wasted your designated Saturday TV watching time because of a clueless fat fuck in a suit, and not because of a hard-working scriptwriter. It's time for the boys to play their new favorite game, Drink the Beer, but the lowly kitchen isn't good enough of a place to get smashed, so they have to do it where all the cool people go to get their buzz. The local park. Only the most trendy hobos and prostitutes drink at the park in the middle of the day. It's all the rage. After some stalling, it's down the hatch for the hops beverage and on to a slick montage of the three getting absolutely shithoused off of a single beer.
Are we wasted or what?
They've barely just finished one brewski. By my count, they've all had 1/6 of a 12-ounce bottle, and yet now they've already got 5 o'clock shadows and street bum clothes. It's pretty funny, actually, and would totally convince me to try beer. Everything I've seen so far looks like fun, and if I were a remarkably stupid child, say one that grew up with modern social media and TikTok and the modern internet, this might have told me that all of my life problems can be solved at the bottom of a bottle.
Look, babes! You babes wanna hang?
Okay, Hampton, stay with me. Hampton, I need you to stay calm. You didn't drink beer, you somehow drank meth. I don't know how it got in that bottle or how it was synthesized, but you are impressively demolished for drinking a fraction of one beer. It's just fucking impossible. I think you need to go to a fucking detox emergency room, my friend. The plan now seems to be to just amble around town while somehow sharing one beer 3 ways over the course of 4 hours, until Plucky gets the most ingenious idea that anyone has ever had.
Well, looky here. How about we go for a little ride? Do you mean, like, steal the car? Risk going to jail? Sounds like fun.
That's how that always happens. I used to drink in my youth, and the whole time I was having a relaxing beer after a long day at the sunglasses factory, I'd say, boy, I better be careful with this stuff. Right now, I want nothing more than to accomplish Grand Theft Auto and then try to upgrade it to vehicular manslaughter. And so a cop car is stolen because a rabbit, a duck, and a pig can't handle a single swig of a 12-ounce, 5% ABV beverage.
DWI, what's that?
DWI, driving while intoxicated.
Ah, that's ridiculous. I don't know how to drive.
This is a good joke. This is the first good joke the whole episode. I just thought I'd include it because a lot of people think I'm too cynical in my content. You cocksuckers. The police car kidnapping panic caper continues until they drive past a sign that says "Now leaving reality," which is a really god-awful analogy because it just means they're driving up a winding cliff that's 8 miles away from heaven. Okay. And then this happens. Damn, that's one hell of a beer bottle. We're gonna give me one of those. That car plunged over 1,000 feet, and that beer bottle is totally fine. I think each and every visual of this cartoon has convinced me that drinking beer is not only a great idea, but a super resilient hobby that can last you till the apocalypse. And so, the 3 punks who drank underage in a public place, harassed women, stole a police car, crashed it into other cars, went on a high-speed chase, and then wrecked it all by desecrating a cemetery get to go to heaven for some ungodly reason. And that reason is because this was all bullshit.
I hope the kids got the message.
Yeah, drinking's uncool.
So, do we get to do a funny episode tomorrow?
I hope so.
Well, at least they're self-aware about it. How ironic is it that one of the segments specifically included to act as a cautionary tale for children was more of a reality fable on the stupidity of letting corporate mess with your artwork? Casting aside judgment of whether or not this should have been removed from television, let's judge the episode for what it is. Boring. It's not particularly funny or clever or anything, really. They spend the first 2/3 of the segment establishing that drinking is bad, and then show the consequences of the thing you are already beaten over the head with being bad about. If you jump for joy over biblical cartoons or think those safety PSAs at the end of other cartoons are the absolute shit, then this is the perfect episode for you.
Pork chop sandwiches! Oh shit! Get the fuck out of here! What are you doing? Go! Get the fuck out of here, you stupid idiot! Fuck, we're all dead! Get the fuck out!
Okay, sometimes PSAs are pretty good. Regardless, should this have been pulled from broadcast? Nah, probably not. The reasoning behind this I can ascertain is the network feared of the cartoon's reproducibility. Children might watch this and steal beer from the fridge and then steal a cop car. Oh no! But that's a dang silly idea, because it just lands neatly on the common slippery slope argument we could apply to all cartoons and children's media. Let's follow up on my opening thesis for the video. Children are smarter than we give them credit. Most of them know what happens in funny cartoon land stays in funny cartoon land. The Tiny Toons can steal cars and hit each other with frying pans and shoot each other with comic book style revolvers because it's all make-believe. We could maybe extenuate this to the potential argument I made for rule removal in terms of it being a little too real, but I think the sheer lengths the episode goes to show how disheveled, disgusting, and disorganized the trio become after one drink really hammers in the concept of alcohol bad. However, I do think this entire segment and probably entire episode should have been scrapped. Because it fucking sucks. It doesn't feel like a Tiny Toons episode beyond the animation and musical accompaniment, and the show itself even acknowledges this fact. There's a product to fill quotas that had a quota itself rug pulled out from under it at the last minute, so why the fuck was this made to begin with? Childhood me would have thought this was shit and lame, and as a legal adult who chooses not to drink because it's a stupid waste of health that only losers without confidence need to have fun, this episode only made beer look more insane and tantalizing to me. Fuck this episode, it's a waste of an incredible animation studio and a lost episode that never deserved to be found. And besides, and maybe most shockingly, it's an over-exaggeration. How much damage could one beer really do? Hang on, look, I got one right here. See, like, it's just a beer. See? Just a beer. Oh! Oh, God! Oh, God, that is foul. Jesus Christ, that's horrendous. What the fuck is this? Pepsi Nitro? Ugh. Who the fuck would ever drink this? Lastly, we have Buffalo Gals from Cow and Chicken. Cow and Chicken is... Okay, I'm just gonna say what Cow and Chicken is in a matter-of-fact statement if you've never seen this show. If you have seen this show, you know I'm not lying. This is what this cartoon was. Cow and Chicken is about two sentient pairs of legs, one feminine and one masculine, called Mom and Dad respectively, who somehow procreate and give birth to a cow and a chicken, who commonly look for fun stuff to do but are tormented by a host of obnoxious adversaries, most commonly the devil, to the point that Cow has to change into her superhero alter ego Super Cow, who is a strong independent woman who only speaks Spanish. I will never not miss the 90s. Anyhow, Buffalo Gals only ever aired once on its home network of Cartoon Network, before Cartoon Network decided that this shit crossed way too many lines and pulled it from broadcast never to be seen again. I didn't happen to catch it on its inaugural screening, so I'm delighted to see what tickled the censors in the wrong way to get them to shut the entire thing down. The episode begins like any other. It's dinner time and Dad rings a little bell to call the kids down for supper. Standard Cow and Chicken dynamic plays out where even the simplest of actions, i.e. sitting at the dinner table, are brought forward with a cacophony of movement, sound effects, and energy. But before the kids can dig into their dinner of toasted wildebeest, there's a sudden shaking that overtakes the entire home.
Who could that be?
Excuse me, sir, but who are you guys?
We're the Buffalo Gals! Oh, the Buffalo Gals! A motorcycle riding gang that randomly bursts into people's homes and chews on their carpet.
There's many reasons that even as a fully responsible adult who pays both health insurance and car insurance purely to prove to people I'm responsible, that I still enjoy watching cartoons. I appreciate the limitless possibilities of animated worlds. I like the expression and art style of the medium. I've wanted to have sex with Lola Bunny for the last 27 years, but one of my favorites is picking apart writing clearly made with the double-barreled shotgun approach in mind. Truly great cartoon writing is written with two audiences in mind, the first being obviously the younger folk. You make entertaining characters who keep things simple and light enough that any youngin' can follow it. But then, the other half is the pop culture references, the double entendres, and the innuendos that are strictly for the parents watching along with their kids.
Hey, Cosgrove, how come you never got married?
Because I like meat too much.
You could be married and still eat a lot of meat.
I didn't know that.
Now, as a kid, when I watched Freakazoid, the greatest cartoon ever made, I didn't laugh at this scene because of the obvious gay implication. I laughed at Cosgrove because he was so silly and didn't know that he could be married and still eat meat. I took it at face value, which is what kids will most likely do. But the parents certainly could have taken the joke the other way. That is some of the hardest comedy writing to do, and when it works, it's brilliant. Now let's talk about why this is already... Why this is already looking grim. To the naive child audience, a female biker gang who bursts into your home to eat your carpet is a silly concept. But to adults who know all too well what the phrase eating carpet means, you can see the writing on the wall to where the rest of the episode is going. We're about to be bombarded with non-stop lesbian jokes that are anything but subtle, and potentially everything, including offensive. The leader of the Buffalo Gals thinks Cow is wearing a costume similar to their gang attire, and invites her to join them at their hideout by giving her a card, which is a carpet sample that Cow sniffs and then places on her tongue for safe keeping. Now, in all respects, I am strictly pro-lesbian. After all, why would you ever deny God's gift to humanity that is two vaginas in the same place rubbing up all against each other? That easily is a top 5 pleasure sensation in life alongside winning the Super Bowl and scented candles. The problem here isn't at all that blatantly gay is all up in our faces in everything except explicit terms. It's the way that they're joking about this is kinda gross, and the punchlines so far are a little too much for a children's cartoon, but let's keep watching. So Cal rides her bike to the Buffalo Gals hideout, and after running into trouble reveals her invitation given to her from Munch Kelly, which sounds like the name of the band that plays after Red Jumpsuit Apparatus on 102.3 Real Rock FM.
Shays, it was me! I'm glad to see you, kid. Come on, join the fun. Buffalo Gals, won't you come out tonight? Come out tonight, come out tonight. Buffalo Gals, won't you come out tonight and dance by the light of the moon?
Buffalo Gals is a song with a decently interesting history behind it. It's a traditional American folk song written back in 1844, and Buffalo in the song actually refers to Buffalo, New York. Oh, that's that Pepsi Nitro. The idea was that traveling performers would change the lyrics of the song to fit the city they were performing in. The song could switch to Boston Gals or Alabama Girls or Atlantis Gals, wherever the location was. But that doesn't matter, because you can tell the writers chose to name the lesbian motorcycle gang the Buffalo Gals for the sole purpose of including this song in the show, since it lets them say, "Won't you come out tonight?" about as many times as they damn well please. This episode is brilliant in both its complete and utter lack of subtlety, and its accuracy in knowing that the only thing that all-female gay motorcycle clubs do all night is sing American show tunes. The roughhousing in the club begins to get a little too much for Cow, especially without a dental dam in sight, and then we get this part.
I gotta save my fat sister. She's not fat, Mr. Man. She's just big boned. Say it. Say it. Big boned. Hey guys! Look what I found spying on us. Chicken? Chicken? We ain't chicken.
Subtlety! My genuine laughter over Chicken specifically saying, "I've got to save my fat sister" to snipe her for no good reason, is then interrupted by the scissoring Cycle Sisters playing a rousing game of softball, complete with a double whammy of throwing in a joke about who pitches and who catches. Cow has had enough of the gang abusing her brother, so she bails and returns as Super Cow to kick their asses.
Say, stranger, wanna be on my team?
Super cow a la rescate!
Has mordido su último alfombra, muchacho!
Let's break down what Super Cow says here in Spanish because it's actually very crucial to this analysis video that I'm doing on a cartoon literally no one gives a shit about anymore, for the viewership of tens of millions of people, carried entirely by my wit, charm, and contagious thirst for life. If you're a native Spanish speaker, please, I implore you to forgive my god-awful pronunciation of these upcoming phrases, because otherwise this video is going to be an extra hour of me apologizing to each primarily Spanish-speaking country individually. I asked not one, not two, but 3 Spanish-speaking friends of mine to help verify these translations, so hopefully my bumbling white guyness is hidden well enough for this video to continue. The first phrase screamed by Super Cow is Super Cow al rescate, which means Super Cow to the rescue. That's pretty cut and dry, there's no more need to talk about that. In the same vein, when Super Cow throws her attackers off, she says Toma, which basically means take that, also self-explanatory. But the third and final Spanish phrase in this clip is actually really important and conceals another joke hidden away from anyone who's not bilingual. Super Cow screams while confronting someone she's about to hit with all 4 of her mammary glands, "Has mordito tu última alfombra, muchacho," which means you've bitten your last carpet, boy. Now, contextually, this sentence isn't that immediately hidden of a dig at lesbian stereotypes. We established in the beginning of this episode that the Buffalo Gals literally eat carpet. It's actually the word muchacho that's another joke in disguise. Spanish is a gendered language, and muchacho specifically refers to boys, whereas muchacha means girl. Super Cow calls this member of the Buffalo Gals, which is an all-women's motorcycle club, muchacho, meaning she is calling her a man. And I don't at all think this is a translation error. I think this is another slight quip against lesbians saying she's gay, therefore calling her a man is understandable and funny, and damn is that poorly aged. Super Cow saves the day, and we get one final line that summarizes this whole thing.
You know, there's a moral to this story.
But it's a secret!
You could linger here on this point that the showrunners are trying to call attention to the fact that they can't overtly discuss homosexual relationships at any point during the episode, but I'm more interested in figuring out the dynamics of whether or not I could learn to walk on my butt cheeks like that in real life. And now we bring the hammer down and cast judgment on this episode. Did this episode deserve to get pulled from broadcast and hidden away from the children for all eternity? Yeah, it definitely did. This is an open and shut case. Look, I am not even remotely offended by any type of humor, no matter how derogatory, mean-spirited, or intentionally offensive it may be, because being offended is for scrawny idiots who don't understand that you can ignore whatever the fuck you want to ignore in life. But this episode of Cow and Chicken is not appropriate. I want to reiterate that point because there's a very specific underline I want to use in justifying my rallying behind this episode being scrapped. It's not appropriate. The audience for this is wrong. If this was pushed out for the Adult Swim or Comedy Central audience, so what? There's plenty of jokes in adult cartoons that not only push the envelope harder, but tear it in half in comparison to this. If you rewrote this plot for Peter Griffin being mistaken as a lesbian, and he decides to express that privilege by joining a biker gang of all women called the Buffalo Gals that plays out nearly identically to this episode, no one would give a shit, especially if you slid it in during the peak shock cartoon eras of the early 2000s and 2010s. No, the real problem here, besides this, is that you just can't do this kind of shit on a family-friendly network. A barrage of lesbian stereotype jokes wrapped around in a paper-thin plot just isn't cool when the majority of people watching are kids and their parents expecting to not have to worry about what's going into their kids' brains. There's no balance to this cartoon. It just feels like a slideshow of, and here's every stereotype we know about women who love women, and now it's over, go the fuck outside already. Wrong place, wrong time, wrong show, wrong network. And I think the call to not air this one was a good choice. Dexter's rude removal didn't deserve the axe because it cast profanity in a negative light and didn't really do anything other cartoons weren't already doing at the time. Tiny Toons' One Beer didn't deserve the axe because it's really fucking on the nose about villainizing alcohol, and the idea of children imitating cartoons is something fuddy-duddy parents are always going to have a problem with, and they're gonna have to get over because kids are gonna imitate stupid shit no matter what they're watching. Cow and Chicken's Buffalo Girls. It's just way too casual about the whole thing. For the adults working on the show and watching it, it's not too bad. It's offensive, yeah, but it could have been far, far worse, and there are examples from the time period of far worse, but the stereotypes on display, keeping in mind that the primary audience is going to be children, and that this was put out in the year 1998, reduces all of my linguistic skills on the subject to just this. Ugh. Oof. Well, that's all I've got for this video. If I were a loser who made filler content so boring I had to remind you to subscribe, this is where I'd do it. Instead, I'm going to plug my gaming channel, which is linked in the description, because it's really good stuff. And now, the video's just going to end, because I'm done talking and no one watches the end of YouTube videos anyway. Probably already clicked something else. You're not going to hear this. Kidding me? Make sure when you click another video, it's mine. You know, not another channel's. That'd be stupid.